No more silence. We'll raise our voice for every...
Hey y'all, this is Todd Belknap, Executive Director of Veterans Help on Veterans USA, and we welcome you to today's podcast here at Veterans United, coming to you from our podcast studio here at 2730 East Silver Springs Boulevard in Ocala, Florida. Today, we have a good friend of mine who's joining us, and we're going to be sharing some information, or she's going to be sharing some information, not only about what she does, but also her father was a World War II veteran, and we have a few treasures here that she is going to share with us. So please help me welcome Marjorie Marcus. Marjorie, thank you for joining us today. We met, about a year ago?
Oh, probably
two years ago?
About 2 years ago.
Time flies when you're having fun. So I met this one lady who was in Marjorie's industry, and she says, you have to meet this woman. You have to meet this woman. You have to meet. And so I said, okay, let's meet the woman. And it was Marjorie, because she said she has this book from her father when he was in World War II. And he was the original scrapbooker.
That's what I always say.
Yeah.
My dad was one of the original scrapbookers.
So we're going to go over some stories that Marjorie is going to share, so reminiscing about her father from his time in the war and elsewhere, because this is a way where we preserve things and we share it with the community, whether it be the children in the schools or fellow veterans, or just anybody here in Marion County and beyond. So we're very grateful for the man behind the camera there is Brian Lang, who is our manager of our podcast studio. He's the one that's making all this magic happen. So Marjorie, so without further ado, thanks for coming in. And so tell us, what do you do? And tell us about your dad too.
Okay, well, what do I do? I work in healthcare. I work right now for a company that does private duty care. We keep seniors in the home if that's where they want to stay, and we keep them safe.
Yeah.
We work a lot with veterans.
Yes.
We help them with aid and attendance and being able to get some care through that source.
You have a monthly meeting where and I've been to these meetings, and they're very informational. Great way to share information.
And that's called COPE. It's Community Outreach and Professional Education.
Yeah.
I actually started it 16 years ago when I was over in Volusia County, Daytona area. I've been in Ocala with it a little over a year, and I just started up in the villages. Right. So I'm really excited that we're growing, and this group is all about education. We have people come in, talk about what they do, resources, how people can access them. And, I always say, you can't ask questions if you don't know what's out there.
Right.
So how do you know something if you don't know what you don't know? So that's my goal.
Yeah, she provides a wonderful platform, information gathering, harvesting information, resourcing. So she's a good traffic cop, for lack of a better term, where she points people in the right direction to the resources that they're looking for.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, my background is in social work. I actually have a master's in social work, strayed off the path, I guess, a little bit into sales and marketing, but really it's all tied in together because, there was a company back in New York where I'm from that used to say an educated consumer is our best customer.
Yes.
And I think that goes for anything.
Yep.
Goes for healthcare,
Yep.
goes for veterans benefits, goes for anything. You need to understand at least a little bit to know what you don't know.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So thanks for everything that you do to provide information to people. You're shoring up those blind spots that people have. And like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. So
and it's a learning experience for me, too, because I find out what I don't know.
Yeah.
If somebody asks me and said, well, what about this? I'm like, wow,
Right.
I don't know about that. And then I do the research.
One of the things she brought up is aid and attendance for veterans. And that is a big blind spot for a lot of veterans who have never heard of it. And even some people who have, they can kind of nibble along the edges, but they're not intimately familiar with it. So to have somebody who's well-versed in the aid and attendance world is priceless for those who need it. and don't know that it exists.
Absolutely. And if I don't know something, usually I know somebody who knows.
Right.
So I'm always happy to say, well, I have no clue, but
Let's go find
and
out.
let's go find someone. I know someone.
I got a guy. She's
Right.
from New
I always
York,
got a
so,
guy.
yeah.
I got a guy all the time.
So Marjorie's father, Sid Brinberg, right, was a World War II veteran, and I'm being very careful. I should be wearing white gloves with this artifact here. He created, this is during World War II. I guess the best way to say it is he's the original scrapbooker, because he put together this book with all the guys he served with. And, like your yearbook, high school yearbook, you have people sign it and,
And he went one step further. He took pictures.
Yes.
And he actually cut the pictures out and glued them in.
And he pasted them in, yeah. So here's I don't know if you can zoom in on that or not. This is, again,
Okinawa.
Doing World War II. So he's got this here. And this is just the front page. The old 894th in India and Okinawa. Did he do?
I don't know who did that. That was not my dad.
Whoever did that was a heck of an artist. So these entries in this
It must be that person.
are dated. Yeah, because there's a little
right.
design here.
A pagoda.
I'm going to read this to you. Say, for instance, this says Okinawa, December 20th, 1945. One of those lucky replacements that you gave Okinawa to, and it's signed Dick Field out of Long Beach, California. So this is somebody that Marjorie's father served with, and he signed it, indicating he was from Long Beach, California. So you go through this book, and there is just treasures of... here's a guy from Chestnut Hill, Pennsylvania, with a little entry here. This seems to be a good place to thank you for all your kindness. If you ever go through Philadelphia, look me up and we will do the town. Best of luck, John Booth, Phila, Pennsylvania, December 20th, 1945. So the war had ended just a few months before that, and he put his address there, 518 Cresheim Valley Road in Chestnut Hill, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So the war ended in August or September, officially. And so this is a few months later, and was he over in Okinawa at this point?
Yeah.
So they were wrapping it up and getting ready to come home, right?
Right. And the other book that you have in your lap
Yes.
is the beginning of my father's, after boot camp, of the journey. Remember those little black books?
I didn't want to say little black book because it's her dad.
That's
so.
okay. I've read what's in there.
Oh,
no.
yeah, there's a story. There was a story in here. Yeah, we're going to have the 5-second delay for this. Some things daughters shouldn't read. Right. But it was great.
What's really nice about all of this is it really gives you a personal side
Yes.
of the war.
Yeah.
It makes me almost think about MASH, like when
Yes.
you watch the show, because that's how my dad talked about it.
Right.
Because as I've shared previously, it actually was an address book. If you open that book in the beginning, it has addresses in it and people's names and phone numbers. And my father just crossed it out. But because he was this scrapbooker type person, as you turn the pages, it becomes a diary about his travels to get to India and then some of the exploits.
Yes.
And I use that term appropriately. Exploits in while he was in the service. And I shared with Todd that my father wasn't supposed to be with this brigade, this part of service. When he was in boot camp, he was not his, I don't know what you call it, division?
Yeah.
Was not supposed to be shipped out. They were supposed to stay in the States.
Right.
And one day he saw the list, and all of a sudden it was for a different division, and his name is on the list, and it says that he's a radio corpsman. And he went and said, I'm not a radio corpsman. and this isn't where I am. And they said, well, your name's on the list. You're going. And he was
you
like,
are now.
he goes, but this isn't where I'm supposed. Well, you're going. So he wound up going, and really, I get chills when I say it because down the road, the division that he had originally been with wound up in the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of loss there.
so whoever swapped out names didn't do themselves a favor,
Right.
Doing it. But
Right.
so my father wound up on this ship, going to India.
It says here he left. This is the first page. This is right after the phone book
Right.
entries. February 12th, 1944.
So my father was 22.
Left the United States at Newport News, Virginia. And then the next entry was not until February 20th. Was sick as a dog.
He got seasick.
Today, rough ocean, etc. And then February 22nd, almost ripped off my finger today when I caught my ring finger on a door hinge.
Yeah, he was walking downstairs and he had told me that story. The ship listed, and he went to grab,
Yep.
and
That's
his
a
ring
natural-
got his ring got caught.
Yep. So this is something everybody in the military would be able to relate to. Well, maybe not the Air Force, but meals are lousy, only 2 a day. And I say that because the Air Force is known for their superior culinary skills. Meals are lousy, only 2 a day, and not enough. We have to steal bread. So it goes on and on. There's different entries, and he dates every one of these entries. And the writing is small, but it's very legible. And it paints a picture of what's going on. And this is priceless. So you turn the pages here. We're up to March of 44. And a lot of entries in March. And then you get through April. And May. So he's very diligent about keeping up this diary. And leaving for Calcutta, May 19th, 1944. Leaving for Calcutta by plane. And then 4 days later had a swell time. So this is history right here. You have a member of the greatest generation who preserved what he did, along with the men that he served with. It's all right here,
Right.
and it's priceless.
And 2 things. One very poignant thing is when in December, if you go down to December, when they had a truce,
yes,
he documented it in there.
that might be in here.
No, it's in.
You think it's in here?
Do you want me to look?
Yeah.
And so that he documented that in there. But what it made me think of, I've been in healthcare for a long time, and I talked to a lot of seniors, and veterans don't always like to talk about their experiences. Right. So this is really like a bird's eye view of day to day. What seemed like minutia then is really something, quite extraordinary. You could see that.
Here's September 30th, he's talking about port of call at New Guinea. And then after that, he's talking about he had some type of illness. But then September 16th, 13 days later, arrived at Okinawa. And so he's definitely...
And he talks about the girls back home. He talks about getting packages with chocolate. There's all little personal things, in there that we take for granted, That not getting letters, waiting for letters, being excited that, a whole bunch came after not hearing anything. But there was one.
Anybody who's been in the military understands, if you've served on foreign soil, mail call is a big deal. Because a lot of times the mail will follow you around. Well, maybe not so much nowadays, but I know back, I was in the 80s, and it always seemed if the mail would come to the Philippines just as we were leaving for Thailand. And we'd get to Thailand, and then the mail would get to Thailand right when we were leaving for Australia, so it played catch up.
So this is the last entry that he made in this book, and he says on the top, "May go home in December."
Yeah.
And then underneath it says, December 11th, rumors I'll be eligible on the 15th. Then it says, Rhoda is getting divorced. I'm in like Flynn. Okay. So that was my dad's last.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to being an address book.
Yeah.
So right in the middle of it all, that was a little snippet into his life. And then this is what
I don't know,
took
can you get a
place.
shot of that, or I don't know how. The part here is he clips out again. Keep in mind, this is what 1944, 45.
45.
He takes pictures of his fellow service members here, and he cuts out the picture and he tapes it in, and then that person writes a little something. So again, this is scrapbooking, circa 1945. I think that is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and he took like the addresses where they are stateside. A lot of people. He could have went anywhere in the country, I think, and had a friend, because if you read those, everybody was like, "Stop by and see me. We'll have a drink." He could.
Yeah, you can tell he never met a stranger.
No, my father was not like that.
So here's one dated December 22nd, 1945, Naha, Okinawa. I remember there being a prison there when I was there in the 80s. Here's wishing you lots of everything and anything you may undertake. If you are ever in North Missouri and come across a town about the size of Monroe, be sure and look me up. Gerald Jerry Dolan. And then again, he took a picture of him and then taped it in the book. I think that's just fantastic.
And the fact that I have not lost it in all these moves and all these years.
And preserved it.
And preserved it in a Ziploc bag, which I have to do a little better going forward. I also was telling Todd that I have a Japanese flag that my father brought back, safely preserved somewhere. That has writing on it that he found, because some of the things that he did is he went into caves where to see if there were any soldiers, Japanese soldiers that didn't know the war ended.
Yep.
So that was one of the things that he did.
That was a real thing. At the end of World War II, there were Japanese military members. Again, they fought fiercely. There was no surrender. In World War II, with the Japanese soldier, they would commit suicide rather than surrender. And what some of them did, the war ended in 1945. I remember they found a Japanese man in a cave in 1972. And it was a big doings in a newspaper. They showed Americans pulling him out, or somebody was pulling him out of the cave, and he was gone. But other than that, I mean, considering he lived in a cave for the last, 37 years, if I'm doing the math correctly at the drop of a hat, he's doing pretty good. Right. But he refused to acknowledge that the war was over. That's pretty unique. I mean, the fact that, hey, you would think that he would kind of wonder, I wonder if it's over now. Maybe it's safe to come out. No, I'll just stay here.
I wonder if we won.
40
they
years.
Wouldn't even know who won.
Right, yeah. So tell us some stories about your dad.
From the book?
Well, you pick. He's your dad.
No, you're right about saying that my father never met a stranger. Yeah. I mean, he was really friendly, kind beyond belief. If somebody needed something, my father was there. I mean, I think I kind of learned that from him, that he would reach out. He grew up in New York.
Right.
We wound up in the Bronx. I'm Bronx born and bred. I was adopted at birth, and I was still daddy's little girl. They talk about adoption and how it's not about blood. Right. My mother used to tell a story, much to my dad's chagrin, that, I had colic or something when I was a newborn, and my father, in the middle of the night, got his brand new Buick and drove off to find medication, and he crashed the car, and, it was all for daddy's little girl,
Yeah.
So he was head over heels when my mom had my brother.
Yeah.
He loved his kids, loved his family. Family was everything to him. He was the glue. He would put together a cousins club, and he would put together, and he documented everything with photos.
I mean, to do this when you're in combat or war, the resources could not have been bountiful or plentiful. So I would imagine it afterwards.
Well, he took, and I have tons of pictures also that he took while he was wherever he was stationed.
Right.
There's a lot of pictures too. But he does talk about it when I talk about MASH. When he did tell me stories, they had a houseboy.
Right.
He was one of the, if you can call them the lucky ones,
Sure.
because he wasn't in direct combat.
Right.
He was a radio corpsman.
Yeah.
He learned, I guess, what he had to do.
Sure.
But there are pictures of him. In fact, I posted one on Facebook. He was on leave, and he actually ran into a cousin of his also on leave.
Wow.
Different divisions, different everything over there. Probably when he went over,
Okinawa
to
or
Okinawa or
someplace.
something. And I have a picture of
What
both
are the
of them.
chances of that happening? You're running into a relative on
Right, in the other side of the world.
thousands of miles away from home. Yeah.
And so I had posted that picture, and in fact, one of my cousins were like, "Well, I didn't realize they served together," and I'm like, "Well, they didn't. They just ran into each other one day,
Yeah.
But he was just a very unique person,
Yeah.
and
How did he? You're a nice person.
Well, thank you.
You're very, down to earth, easygoing. How did he influence who you became?
Well, again, that nobody was a stranger, that
Yeah.
there are people in need, and if you can help them, that
Right.
there's no reason not to. It doesn't cost anything. I
Right.
mean, to give someone your time. We owned a gift shop in the Bronx, in the neighborhood, and people would come in and just talk, and he'd always crack inappropriate jokes. That was just my dad.
Not a veteran.
He had a tattoo of a snake on his arm, and my favorite thing was when I was little to sit on his lap, and he would flex his muscle and the snake would
Watch the snake
wiggle,
move,
things like that. He loved his parents. He would do whatever he could do for my grandparents
Right.
when they needed something. He just seemed to always be there. He would always right wrongs. If he thought something was wrong, he was a big letter. Well, we see what he wrote, but he was a big letter writer.
Yeah.
He would write letters, whether it was to a corporation or whether it was to a family member. He'd be trying to fix things.
Yeah.
My favorite story is when I was little, when he'd come home from work on Fridays, he would bring little treats. We didn't have a lot of money, but
Sure.
he would bring something. And he brought me, I must have been about 10 or 11, a box of Cracker Jacks. And there was no prize in it.
Oh boy.
And, that's what you
Yeah.
get Cracker Jacks for. In
That's
those
right.
days, they had good prizes. And he wrote to the Cracker Jack Company. He wrote to the Cracker Jack Company, and they sent a whole box of prizes. Nowadays, you'd probably get a 50-cent coupon,
Yeah.
but back then they actually,
Yes, he was
so
correcting an
those were
injustice there,
that
yeah.
he
Taking care of
felt
his
no
little
matter
boy.
how small
Yeah.
that if he could do something. My ex-husband had this blazer that he loved. It was a beige blazer because back in the 70s,
Oh, yeah. Lots
that
of
was the
colors.
colors. And he had two pens in his pocket, a Bic pen and a Parker pen, and one of the pens leaked, and my father wrote a letter to Parker Pen, and
Wow.
Parker Pen wrote back saying, we analyzed the ink, it was Bic. And so then my father wrote to Bic, and we got a blaze. I mean, these days that wouldn't happen
No.
probably, but we got it. They said buy another blazer and
Yeah.
send the receipt, and we'll pay for it.
Right.
But that was my dad. It didn't
Wow.
matter how big or
Right.
small. I mean, he wasn't perfect.
Right.
I worked with my parents for a long time. I would work with them all week, I was married, I had my son, and I didn't see them on Sunday, and on Monday I would get a call like, "Where were you? You didn't call us." And I'm like, "I saw you, you know, just on Saturday. What was, you know?"
Right.
Because again, family was everything.
Yeah.
You know, we got on each other's nerves. I mean, it wasn't perfect, you know, and
That's family.
I would fight with him. You know, it was a small mom and pop business, and I would say, "That's it. I quit. I'd rather be on welfare.
Yeah.
I don't want to work with you anymore." And I'd leave. And that night, my mother would call, and he goes, "Oh, you know, he loves you, da 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 da," you know. And I'd be back the next day, and we'd be fine. But, you know, there was.
Yeah.
It was based on love, and
Right.
that's how he was. He was based in love,
Yeah.
you know. And that's why when you read this, you really see that he touched a lot of lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was reciprocated because what the men that he served with are clearly fond of your father. To Sid, a swell guy. I hope I follow you soon. George Klett from Joliet, Illinois. And then here's a picture of two of them together. I don't know if is that one of those your father there? Or?
No, neither of them are my dad.
Yeah, to Sid, a friend who would do a favor, but hates to ask for a favor. So he's a giver, but he doesn't like to. The finest buddy a guy could ever have. Your pal, Eddie Kosnick, 150 Holland Avenue, Staten Island, New York. Remember, we have a date on 64th Street when I get back to the United States. Isn't that something? You know? So he was over there a while.
Yeah, and you know the camaraderie when you see this, you know, I mean, people who are from different cultures, different states, different ways of looking at things, yet you all come together, you know, and it's very uplifting when you look at this, whether it was my father or not, you know, just that you see these people just.
And they're from different, whether Okinawa or India, like this one here. Dear Sidney B., I shall never forget our days in India, ! You were by far the best driver in the old shuttle run. I want to wish you the best of everything because I think you're a swell guy. There's a theme there.
I know, swell is a big word back then.
What was it back then? And this is from Dick Fondon from Antigo, Wisconsin. Thanks again for helping to sponsor my trip to rest camp. So, sounds like your dad was quite the giver. That's a good testimony to have. And it just goes on and on and on. So you're going to be able to see all these pages on our website at www.vhvusa.org, and it'll be a / Sidney Brinberg. And when you go to that, and it'll be at the end, Brian, who's the master of all things here in the podcast world, he will have that link at the end of the podcast here, so you can visit it, and you're going to be able to see all these pages in JPEG form, to just, especially if you know somebody who was combat or served on foreign soil, share this with them, and I guarantee you it'll be very helpful to them as they turn back the clock and reminisce their own time.
And one comment. If any of the names, when you look at the pages, are familiar, or the addresses, reach out. Todd knows how to get me.
Yep.
Reach out, because I think it would be kind of neat to see
that would be cool.
If people, you know, if you keep sharing it, if people know someone that's in there, because I have a ton of other pictures that I can't identify.
We'll list the names and addresses, and hey, if you know of a family member or whatever, give me a call here at Veterans Helping Veterans USA, or email me at executivedirector@vhvusa.org, and we'll connect the dots, your family with Marjorie, and you can talk about your dads together. So
absolutely.
Cool. Marjorie, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing everything.
Absolutely. This, again, when I was first approached by this, I wept when I first saw it, because it was just, these are memories. My father was a World War II veteran, and it made me think of him. I didn't have this type of thing, so this is, what a blessing it is for you to have this and to maintain it, because this is part of your father. So.
Well, I think it's part of everyone who served.
Yes.
And I'm excited to be able to share it. And I want to shout out to Christine because she was the one that introduced me to Todd. We worked together at Vitas Hospice.
She was so excited. You have to meet her. You have to. So.
Well, he met me.
Yeah. So, and now we're good friends. So,
Absolutely.
Marjorie, thank you again for your time. And again, thank you to Brian for running the show behind the camera
Brian.
there. Follow us. Share this with anybody who you think may be interested. And if you are interested in joining us for a podcast here at Veterans United, get a hold of us here at Veterans Helping Veterans at 352-433-2320. That's our number here. Or stop in, see us, take a tour of Vets Helping Vets USA. We're the only one-stop shop here in the state of Florida where veterans and their families can come and receive assistance, whether it be job assistance, food, financial help, counseling. We have free showers, a whole boatload of services here that are offered at no cost to you. We're a nonprofit. We welcome donations. We're not affiliated with the county or the VA. We survive on grant initiatives and private donations from good folks like you. So thanks in advance for any support you can share with us. And we send you an in-kind letter for your tax purposes, and it's a win-win for everybody. So until next time, thanks for joining us here at Veterans United.
In the shadows of the night, they fought the fight. Brave hearts, lost souls, searching for the light. With every battle scar, they carry the weight. But we're to lift them up, it's never too late. No more silence, we'll raise our voice. For every hero, we'll make the choice. Together we'll stand, united and proud. For the ones who served, veterans helping veterans is loud. Stand strong together, we'll pave the way. For the veterans in need, we won't turn away. With open hearts and open hands, we'll light the path, take a stand. We'll rise like the dawn, shining ever bright. For every soldier lost, we'll be their guiding light. Through the storm and the tears, they walked alone. But we're building a home where they can be known. From the ashes they rise, with courage anew. With a brotherhood strong, we'll see them through. No more silence, we'll raise our voice. For every hero, we'll make the choice. Together we'll stand, united and proud. For the ones who serve, veterans helping veterans is loud. When the night feels long and hope is thin, we'll be their family. We'll let the healing begin. No more fighting